The servant grabbed the back of my cloak and said, Polymarchus wants you to wait. I turned around and asked, Where is he? There he is, the boy said, coming up behind you. Just wait. All right, let's wait, said Glaucon. Soon, Polymarchus arrived, along with Adeimantus, Glaucon's brother, Niceratus, the son of Nicias, and a few others who had watched the procession. Polymarchus said to me, Socrates, I see you're already heading back to the city. You're right, I said. But look, he said, how many of us there are. I see, I said. So unless you're stronger than all of us, you'll have to stay. Or maybe, I said, we could persuade you to let us go. But how could you persuade us, he replied, if we don't listen? You couldn't, said Glaucon. Well, then, Polymarchus said, we're not going to listen, just so you know. Then Adeimantus added, Haven't you heard about the torch race on horseback tonight, in honor of the goddess? On horseback, I said. That's new. So the riders will pass torches while racing? Yes, said Polymarchus, and there's going to be a festival all night. You really should see it. Let's go after supper. There will be lots of young people there, and we can talk. Stay with us. Don't be difficult. I guess we have to stay, said Glaucon. So we'll stay, I said. This interaction invites us to reflect on the nature of waiting in the Christian life. In the New Testament, we are often called to wait, not passively, but actively, in preparation for deeper engagement with God's will. In Luke chapter 12, 35 through 36, Jesus tells us, Be dressed, ready for service, and keep your lamps burning, like servants waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can immediately open the door for him. The act of waiting in the Christian tradition is not a passive inactivity, but an active engagement of the heart and mind, a readiness for the call to greater truth. In this sense, Socrates' waiting for the conversation to unfold mirrors the Christian vigilance and attentiveness to the divine call, prepared through prayer and patient in his understanding, expectant of the arrival of new friends. When Polymarchus challenges Socrates, asking, Unless you're stronger than all of us, you'll have to stay, we are confronted with the question of strength. What does it mean to be strong in the pursuit of wisdom? In Christian thought, strength is not defined by worldly power or intellectual superiority, but by humility and dependence on God. In Philippians 4:13, Paul writes, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Strength in the Christian life is ultimately a grace-filled empowerment that it comes through Christ. Similarly, Socrates' response, or maybe we could persuade you to let us go, touches on a deeper spiritual reality, the call to persuade others, not by force, but through gentle reasoning and love. We are reminded of the Apostle Paul's words in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, 4 through 5. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. In this passage, Paul contrasts the world's power with the divine power of truth, wisdom, and loving, patient persuasion. Socrates is similarly engaging in this battle of ideas, not through brute strength, but through the strength of his arguments and the power of persuasion. It is in this spiritual engagement with others that true wisdom can be found. In the conversation, Polemarchus replies, "But how could you persuade us if we don't listen?" This question cuts to the heart of the philosophical task, and indeed, the Christian task. We are called not only to speak truth, but to open our ears and hearts to receive it. Jesus, in his ministry, often chastised those who would not listen, particularly the religious leaders of his day. In Matthew 13:15, he quotes Isaiah, "For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them." This refusal to listen is a deep spiritual struggle, one that prevents individuals from realizing the truth that could heal and transform them. Plato touches on this theme in his Republic, as Polemarchus and others remain resistant to Socrates' dialogue. Similarly, many in the Bible refuse to hear the voice of wisdom and they call to salvation. The Desert Fathers, such as Saint Anthony the Great, often spoke about the necessity of spiritual attentiveness. Saint Anthony, in his quest for truth and wisdom in the desert, teaches us that the ability to listen to God is fundamental to spiritual growth. The same applies in the philosophical realm. True wisdom begins with a willingness to hear and receive truth. The introduction of the torch race on horseback adds an interesting twist to the conversation. The festival honors the divine with a torch, a symbol often associated with light, knowledge, and truth. Like the riders on horseback, the saints have been entrusted with the light, and we pass on the light through witness in the darkness. "You are the light of the world," says our Lord. "Let your light shine before others." Matthew 5:14 through 16. And yet, like those with deafened ears, the light cannot be seen by those without eyes to see. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not understood it. John 1:5. Saint Gregory the Great warns us of this similar dilemma in his writings Moralia and Job. The more the soul shuts the eyes of its heart to the light of truth, the more it is left in the blindness it has chosen. In Christian theology, the torch can be seen as a symbol of Christ, the light of the world. John 8:12. Just as the torch guides through darkness, so too does Christ illuminate the minds of those who seek him. The torch race, however, is a worldly distraction in the context of dialogue. It is an invitation to engage with the superficial, the fleeting, the external festivities of life, rather than the deep intellectual and spiritual pursuit of wisdom. As Plato introduces the tension between the festival and the philosophical conversation, we are reminded of the teachings of St. Augustine, who in his Confessions described the fleeting nature of earthly pleasures in contrast to the eternal truth found in God. In Confessions 1:1, he writes, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." The torch, though a symbol of light, is a temporary distraction in the face of the eternal light of wisdom, which Socrates seeks in his conversations with others. The conversation ends with Glaucon's reluctant agreement to stay, mirroring the struggle many Christians face when called to engage with difficult truths. There is often a reluctance to stay, to wrestle with challenging ideas, or to confront our own ignorance. Yet it is in these moments of engagement, of staying and wrestling with the truth, that the seeds of wisdom are sown. The Apostle Paul in 2 Timothy 2:15 tells us to do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. The pursuit of wisdom, whether philosophical or theological, requires perseverance, patience, and a willingness to stay in the conversation, to wrestle with the ideas, and ultimately to be shaped by them. And this is a holy image. Sometimes God surrounds us with people not to argue us into faith, but to love us into stillness. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. A sentiment beautifully reflected by the writings of St. Ambrose on the Mysteries, who says, Christ compels no one, he invites, yet such is the sweetness of his invitation that the soul can hardly resist. The Lord does not use violence to convert, but he may block our paths, press us through friends and conversations, surround us with persistent voices until our stubbornness bends and we are able to see him and hear him as we need.